Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham. I just messed up my whole spiel here. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
I'm excited.
Cottingham.
I'm excited.
Such a gam.
That might have been the first time I messed that up in 317 episodes.
In your name.
I guess, yeah, probably. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had great holiday season. It's still somewhat going on. It's almost a new year. We're in between Christmas and New Year. How was Christmas, Case?
It was great. We here where we are, we got a white Christmas, and that was fantastic. It was fantastic.
It's the first time in
I can't remember years.
Yeah.
It was definitely my son's first white Christmas, and this has been a big good one for him. And we went out walking in our neighborhood. All the roads were covered in snow. They didn't plow our roads or anything like that, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
nice relaxing Christmas.
It was. We've got a lot to get to this episode. First off, of course, Chapter 16, the season finale of The Mandalorian, the rescue. We'll get into that, about all the big talk that's going out there. Of course, it's been a little while, but we haven't done an episode since, so we'll recap that. Then, of course, we do want to get into, since this is our last episode of the year of 2020. What a crazy 2020 it has been, but we still got some great Star Wars content. We kind of want to reflect. We've done this over the past few years, where we've looked back at the year that was, and we talked about a little bit about our favorite things and things that we saw this year that we really appreciate. So we'll get into that. But first, Case, I just got back from Batu last week. I took a trip to Disney for my Christmas vacation. We got back right at New Year's Eve, or Christmas Eve. And as soon as we landed at the airport, driving back from Cincinnati, which is about an hour or so away, the snow, that's when the snow was coming down. So it was great. We left 80-degree weather to come to, I think it was 22 when we landed. Is crazy. It's like 60-degree difference. But just like I talked about last year when I went, it is different. Obviously, Disney is different right now. If you're planning on going, or if you are going, it's 35% capacity. I think they're talking about starting to up it a little bit after the first of the year. No fast passes, so you do have to wait in line. I was able to ride Rise of the Resistance twice. Nice. Which is very difficult to get on, because you don't stand in line for it. You have to get on a virtual line on your app and get a boarding pass. And if you don't get the boarding pass, then you don't get on the ride. In fact, so my wife, Brooke, who is a Disney planner out there, anybody that wants to go to Disney World or Disneyland or anywhere in the States, anyway, she can't do international trips, unfortunately. But hey, give us a call. We can hook you up. She doesn't cost anything. It's free, actually. So just think about that when you're thinking about your Disney trip. But anyway, you have to get on the app right at 7:00 in the morning, and it's gone in seconds. Like, it is literally gone in seconds. You have to refresh until you see that get boarding pass button. You get it, and hopefully you get a number. If you don't, unfortunately, she had a client that was down there at the same time we were. He couldn't get in, so he never got to ride the ride. So fortunately, both days we went to Hollywood Studios. We got on the ride. It is an incredible experience, because it's. And one thing I didn't realize when I was riding it the first time, I don't know if you've watched the video online about the ride, right? Bit. So you get briefed by Ray and your new recruits, and the First Order is trying to find the base, and they don't want you to reveal the base or whatever. So you get rushed into the shuttle because you're abandoned. You're leaving Batu, and you're getting taken to the new Resistance base. Well, so you load up in this ship. And of course, the screens are all digital, right? So it takes off, and you kind of look out the screens, and you're taking off and get into space, and then all of a sudden there's a space battle. You get tractor beamed into a Star Destroyer. But see, what I didn't realize the first, and I'm not sure, I kind of guess how they do this, but I gotta really figure it out. But the same doors you come in from the outside, you're outside in Batuu, and you walk in, is the same doors that open, and all of a sudden it's that scene where a picture I showed you with all the stormtroopers sitting there, and you're in the docking bay of the Star Destroyer, and I'm like, man, did I feel that shift, or what? Is the ship, or do they actually move like something else? I don't know. I was really the second time I wrote it, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty neat. So, then you go through the whole spiel about Kylo Ren trying to interrogate you and all that stuff. So I didn't time it, but I think it's like a 7-8 minute ride. It's pretty incredible. So I highly recommend trying to get on that thing. I don't know if they're ever going to just do a line to get in. I think they will somehow eventually, but right now it's boarding passes is pretty crazy. Yeah. Of course, I didn't get to build a lightsaber. The experience was different, so I didn't really want to do that. It was hard because it wasn't like a free reign of walking around. You had to wait in line and because you had to social distance, and they wouldn't. There's a marketplace that you can normally just walk in. You had to wait in line to get into that, so I didn't make it in there because it was too long. I did go into Oga's Cantina for the first time. I sent you some pictures of that where it had the blue milk with the cookie on top. You had drinks and snacks. It was pretty crazy. It's actually a really neat place for just guys like us just to go in and hang out. Like experience. But you only have like 45 minutes there, and you have to leave because they have to rotate people out. So that was pretty cool. But couple things I did pick up I want to share real fast, and if you're on YouTube you can see it. I finally got the Sabat cards.
Yes.
So I've been this wasn't there last year. It was sold out. And I didn't want to buy them online because they were like ridiculously priced. So I waited. And in fact, I still didn't see them at Batuu. I actually found them at the Trading Post shop over at Disney Springs.
Oh, okay.
So ecstatic. I want to. We got to get a game together and start doing some gambling on that. And then I picked up my companion. I picked up the Sith holocron.
Oh, sweet.
Go with my Jedi holocron. So this is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Connects with the Jedi one, right?
Yes.
When you put them next to each other.
Oh, you know what? I haven't done that yet. Oh my God, I forgot about that. I got to look that up. I totally forgot about that. I did put. I also bought the other crystals that I didn't have, the white one and the purple one. And it's funny because when you put the red one in here, it's Palpatine's voice. And I guess sometimes it's Vader's voice. It depends on what crystal you get. Even though they're all red, sometimes it's Vader, sometimes it's Palpatine. So I got the Palpatine one. But it's funny because when you put a blue crystal in this, it's still Palpatine, but he says different things. Like it's more old Senator Palpatine. Like when he's telling Anakin the story of this and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. So, but I haven't messed with it too much. So that's so I do got to do that. I got to remember to put them together somehow. Gosh, I forgot about that. And I haven't put the red crystal in the Jedi holocron yet.
Oh,
so
man.
I wonder what that does. And then my biggest purchase was this guy.
Yeah.
I built me another droid.
Nice colors.
So I've got two, and actually you can see them back there on the floor back there if you're looking on YouTube. The two BB units, those are my daughters. They each built a droid last year, so I didn't get to build a droid. I wanted to build an R2 unit. So, now my oldest Sam helped me pick the colors, but we did fall on. Well, it's still my droid kind of, so I wanted kind of blue and white to kind of represent Kentucky.
Right.
So his name is R8C4.
Nice.
As in 8 national championships for UK, and C4 being Cottingham, and we got 4 in the family. So, so that's my excursion to Batu a little bit. But of course, Disney is Disney, as you know. You've been there plenty of times, Case. It is different. It was extremely different walking down the street and not having, and basically having elbow room. I think my wife at one point filmed my daughter's. Sam was hugging Eliza and kind of picked her up and just swung her around. Yeah, and she filmed her and basically said, posted it like, you never get to do this in Disney. Like you never had that space really to do that, which is crazy. But can't go up to the characters. Right. There's no big parades. There's no fireworks show. So those are kind of unfortunate. Not all
still
the
characters at Batu. There still were characters walking around.
Yes, but they weren't walking around in the public like they normally are. They were kind of walking up in different spaces where you can see them. Like Chewbacca and even Vi Marathi was still out there. Yeah, Ray. Didn't see Kylo Ren. Didn't see any stormtroopers. But it's I still. I mean, me and my wife do a show about Disney, and it's like we're still going to talk about how you should go. I mean, it's not sure. It's very safe. Everybody's wearing masks. They keep people out. There's hand sanitizers dispensers all over them. I mean, I think I almost feel like they're way too much, almost, because when you're going through a line, like Flight of Passage, or I feel like every 30 steps there was a hand sanitizer dispenser. Like, it's crazy. But I felt very safe, and it was a great experience. It was a great, and Christmas time at Disney is the best. The decorations, and I don't know about you, Case, but I've come to fully embrace this. My love of it is at night. I think the parks at night, especially Galaxy's Edge, especially Magic Kingdom, especially Epcot, it's just gorgeous at nighttime with all the lights and everything. It's just great. So
especially when you have magic hours and you stay it later.
Yes, but
you feel like it's really all to yourself.
Yes, but what's different from you, because you've normally gone kind of late summer or late spring, early summer, is that you have a lot of daytime at that point.
Sure, that's true.
It got dark at 6:00 when I was there, so you're there for 3 hours and it's nighttime. Nice. And it's so it's really cool. I can't wait to go back at Christmas when it's normal hours, like you said, and magic hours are up till because parks close right now about 9:00.
Oh, right.
So if it's like midnight, oh my gosh, it's going to be this big thunder at night, all these things. Anyway, all right. So I didn't mean to bore everybody on my trip, but it was great to go down there and kind of get away and see Star Wars again. And the big thing was Rise of the Resistance. You got to ride Falcon again, which was very cool because you couldn't ride it they limited to your own party. So it was me and Sam.
Oh, yeah.
By ourselves in the cockpit flying. It was so cool. It was really cool.
So you have to tell, like, you have to punch in how many people are in your cockpit. So like the other parts are taken over. Like you don't have to have.
Yeah. So they
engineer
ask,
or whatever.
Yeah, they ask how many people. It was only 2. Yeah. So they said they give you the chance to be what you wanted to. So if you didn't want to pilot, it would pilot itself, and then you could do the engineering.
That's cool.
But we want to do the pilot, so then the engineering and the shooting was all done remotely or automatically. So
cool.
Which still didn't help us because I don't think the engineer did very well because we were damaged pretty good still. Anyway, great experience. Got lots to talk about on the other show with my wife about that, but let's move on to The Mandalorian, because The Mandalorian season finale dropped on December 18th, the day I was actually leaving. I watched it on the plane a couple times flying down there. totally surprised. Thought it was great, but Casey, you tell me, what did you think about this finale and what happened in the episode?
As you know, my worries kind of went away. Like it was the finale as I was hoping it would be. You know, we talked a lot about cliffhangers and whatnot, and but I was always hoping that it would at least button up the story of Gideon, or at least just put it into whatever plan he has now. And I kind of figured that maybe he'll escape again or whatever. But I liked it. I liked how his story, Gideon's story, ended in this season, to see whatever happens next season, perhaps. But I mean, everything was pretty. Yeah, I think it was. I actually didn't think I'd expected to see Bo-Katan. I don't think I was really thinking about that. Her to show up. Earlier I kind of thought like it was setting up for all of these people to join back together at the end, not just Bo-Katan, but like all these other characters and groups that he's been meeting with. I thought it was going to be a much larger scale ending. I didn't think it would all take place on the ship, and within this little battle. But I liked it. I liked how they handled it. The Dark Troopers were cool. It was. I love the music that played. Mm-hmm. I love the theme. It was pretty cool. Very, I guess you can call it dubstep or whatever, but very cool, very well done. And then got emotional for sure at the end with Grogu and Mando. And then the Luke stuff was, absolutely thrilling. So I think it was a great finale. I mean, there's certainly questions I have and expectations for what's going to happen next season, and just the greater scale of the Filoni Favreau-verse. There's definitely a lot more questions for sure, especially with the after credit scene. But no, like how just this episode alone, I think did a good job in how it capped off the season. I think, and I feel like everybody's pretty much in unison, like just applauding Filoni and Favreau. Like, you guys got it. You guys know it. Every fear, I feel like looking back, it's like, why was I ever worried or hesitant about the direction? It's like they understand and they just know what to do.
Yeah.
So no worries whatsoever moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody thought it was going to be good. I really don't think everybody thought it would be this good. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Filoni, people had definitely felt like Filoni had a good grasp of Star Wars, but he had never done live action.
Right.
Favreau has done live action, but he's never done Star Wars, except voiced a couple characters, right? Mm-hmm. So it was an incredible. It's been an incredible, past couple of years with them, and I think with the announcement that they're doing these other shows, I don't think anybody's got any kind of doubt that they're going to be, the same style of fandom in each episode. So, but I agree with you. I think this episode, a couple of surprises for me were that it did get going really fast onto how they got onto the ship. That was pretty. It was probably a great idea. Hijacking the shuttle and using that to get on board. Part of me was thinking that they got the shuttle. Couldn't they somehow use just like some Imperial code that they like Rogue One and Return of the Jedi did, where they just use a code to get onto the ship? They had to like fly their way on.
What's your tracking number, whatever it is?
Yeah, exactly. I got an old Imperial code, but it checks out.
Yeah.
But that was fine. A little dramatic for that part, and Boba Fett making his exit didn't see him the rest of the way, which was understood. Yeah. I wasn't too surprised that Bo-Katan came back, because I felt like, if there was going to be any kind of confrontation for the Darksaber, that was going to have to happen. Pretty interesting how it went out, with him fighting Gideon, as in Din fighting Gideon, and then getting the saber. So once we get to that point where they're having that conversation with the date, because that's where my big questions come out of. It didn't take away from the episode at all, but it just lay the questions for the next season. I mean, what's your thoughts about the explanation of Bo-Katan and the Darksaber there?
I mean, I like it. I think just based on what we know already about the Darksaber and how it's been handed off, I feel like that is a little thin, and it's just new. Is really the best way to call it, because it's just something new that we never quite. Well, we didn't get that at all, I don't think, in Clone Wars. I mean, I think it won't be hard for Filoni to try to fit it in. I mean, he's clearly fitting it in, but I don't, we talk a lot about this on our chats. I don't think Filoni's necessarily do us an explanation. I don't think he has to explain. Like, if it's fine, if that's what it is now, fine. I'm totally fine with it. But it is definitely an observation to say that this is a little. I mean, even to call it contradicting is not the right word, because it just didn't happen like that. Apparently, in the Clone Wars, with Sabine getting it and then giving it to Bo-Katan. I mean, you can look at it through a certain angle, certain point of view, and understand it to make sense. But it's like it definitely took me out for a second to think like, well, that feels very new and kind of a new part of the Mandalore culture that we never heard of. But like you said, it didn't ruin it. It was fine. I just moved past it and, enjoyed the rest of it. But so I hope that is fleshed out more. I do hope it is. I think it obviously will be, for the fact because it clearly set up a conflict between Bo-Katan and Mando. And I think, whether that's going to be a huge thing, I kind of hope it's not a huge thing. I kind of hope we don't spend a lot of the next chapter or season with them of them fighting it out. It's because Mando clearly doesn't want it. So it's just like I hope that's resolved quickly is all. But but again, it's like I have no worries. I have no fear of how it's going to unfold. I think it's going to be great. I would like to see the battle for the Darksaber be a bigger story, just not involving only Bo-Katan and Din. I hope it becomes a more grand scale fight, over different clans, maybe different clans of Mandalore, or Boba maybe starts to get the thirst for it as well. Who knows? I think that'd be pretty cool. So definitely new, and kind of really, I'm kind of I don't care one way or the other if it was a part of canon, but now it is, so I'm fine with it. And I'm excited to see how it builds on these stories.
Yeah. I do think it's just I think there is a simple explanation. I think it just has to be mentioned, in the next season, because I think the history that we know of it is, when we first see it, Pre Vizsla has it, right, which is Jon Favreau's character. If the idea is that it's the holder of this weapon allows you to lay claim to the throne or the ruler of Mandalore, that wasn't the case when Pre Vizsla had it, right? I mean, Duchess Satine was the ruler or the queen of Mandalore, and no one recognized him as the ruler except the people that were following him, which at the time was Death Watch. So it's hard to say that was the rule then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably the rule way back in history, maybe. Again, we don't know that for sure. But, at some point after the Clone Wars, which we don't really know the state of Mandalore at the time. I mean, we do know at when Maul was defeated, it was Bo-Katan was there to, I guess, put together the pieces. We don't know. We might know in the Bad Batch possibly if we go back to Mandalore.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
But at that point, does she have the Darksaber at that point?
Maul?
Okay. Well, yeah. Does Maul because I can't remember.
Maul.
I know Maul had it at the end of season 5.
Yeah, because he fought Ahsoka with his sabers.
Well, he doesn't have it in the Siege of Mandalore, I don't think.
Right.
So I don't even know if we know where the Darksaber is at that point.
Right. That's a good point.
Because he had it when he was ruling Mandalore at the end of season 5, but that's when Sidious came in.
Yeah, I would guess he has it. It might be on Dathomir because I think maybe it's wherever it is when Sabine finds it.
Right, which is on Dathomir.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So somehow in that 19-year period, whatever, or 17-year period, somehow the Darksaber finds its way to Dathomir. Ezra and Sabine find it. Again, and they go back and kind of fight they unite the clans, fight the Empire on Mandalore, and then Sabine gives the saber to Bo-Katan to rule. That's the last time we see it. So then what happens? What happens between then and now, where we are in the Mandalorian? How does Gideon get it? How does he beat Bo-Katan to take it? Because if he just takes it, did he really? Is he the ruler of Mandalore? I mean, I wouldn't think so.
Right.
But those are the questions that I have. And again, it doesn't really take away from the episode whatsoever because, I was kind of right that there is a little open-ended parts of the episode, right? That whole resolution of what's going to happen with the Darksaber or Bo-Katan, like that hasn't been resolved.
Yeah.
So there is those lingering open-ended questions there about how that's going to what's going to happen there and what's the next step of Din. But anyway, again, it doesn't take away. That was just kind of a little plot hole that was thrown out there that I think needs to be filled as I think it will in season 3.
Yeah, because look, if you're talking about probably if it's fair to say most of the viewers of the show won't know that backstory, and that's fine if they don't know the backstory of the Clone Wars and the Darksaber. Totally fine. So really, Filoni has an advantage to introduce while also recrafting what he feels necessary. I mean, because like you said, like the action of Sabine giving Bo-Katan the Darksaber and her holding it up and becoming the ruler, that kind of already lays the groundwork that. And besides, they did say in the show, the Darksaber kind of they laid the groundwork, I think, to basically to give justification to whoever holds it has the right to rule, essentially. Because it doesn't mean you are the ruler. It almost is a sign of it's like the Pharaoh's scepter or something like that. It's just it gives you the right to do it. But introducing this is very similar to introducing the whole helmet. This is the way Child of the Watch stuff. It's like when we first got it in season 1, this whole helmet and this is the way. This is definitely brand new, but went along with it, and clearly it's paid off. I think there's a definite explanation for it. I mean, it still doesn't feel as like the whole different sects of Child of the Watch and then Bo-Katan's side of things. I think I don't see as much evidence of that in the Clone War era, but it's definitely fleshed out. Like the explanation and the reasoning behind it all is certainly fleshed out. So I think they'll do the same thing for this Darksaber. I'm very excited because I was very hopeful that the next season would be more focused on Mandalore. When Cody was on, we speculated a lot about that with this next season, and I think it's heading that way for sure. And I think this is going to be Filoni's just like official manifesto of Mandalorian culture and stories. Like this is literally the stories that he's been, I feel like, wanting to tell, about. So I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. It's this era that he's telling those stories.
It's true.
That's true. Because he kind of established the Mandalorian era culture and whatnot back in the Clone Wars. Do you think at all that, just this is full speculation on the seasons to come, but do you think at all that it's possible that Din actually is the one that becomes the ruler of Mandalore?
Yeah, I think it's only natural for that kind of thing to be thrown into the mix. Whether like he starts to want to become the ruler, or he just is forced to become the ruler. So I love that side of it. Being handed something that he doesn't want, just like he was with the child. So it's like I think that's going to be really cool growth.
Yes,
for him. Or maybe not even a growth, but just a cool conflict or obstacle for him.
Yeah. What would have been neat, which I don't think is going to happen, but it would have been neat to find out if, like, his lineage kind of led him there. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's like, what is he not? He's not blood Mandalorian, right? So
I don't think so, right?
But maybe heck, if Rey could become a Skywalker, if Rey could become a Palpatine, surprisingly, then
I know, right? Maybe he's a Kreese,
he's a Vizsla,
or a Vizsla. I always thought he was going to be a
descendant. Yeah, I think that would have been the coolest.
And that's actually possible. He could still be a Vizsla
for sure. No, for sure. It's still
he's still. Oh my gosh, yeah, he definitely could be a Vizsla still. Oh man, I almost would bet that's going to happen. I almost, I'm going to really think about that, but I really think that could happen
because it's, people bash it if they want to, but the whole, it just worked out, that Rey was a Palpatine or whatever. It's like, got to understand the whole thing about Star Wars is that there is a destiny element within Star Wars. There is obviously it's the Force guides things and pushes things, so it would for me, it would make total sense if it was the Force that Tar Vizsla, because he's Force sensitive, but you don't have to be Force sensitive to be obviously control, your whatever destiny to happen. But for the Force to guide Tar Vizsla's lineage down to Din, and that he guided him to the Darksaber.
Yes,
but I mean, in the end, I do think Bo is going to be the heir when it's all said and done.
You think Bo is?
I think Bo should be and will be the
I don't know, because
ruler.
The thing is, a proper... If she sees that he is the rightful... Because right now she just believes she is the heir to that, with that. But it comes to be that he is the direct descendant of Tar Vizsla.
Yeah.
And the fact that I wouldn't rule out the fact that he could be Force sensitive.
Sure.
If he's Force sensitive, I mean, I think she would be. She is one that respects that authority, and that lineage and that chain of command.
But it would have to be fleshed out for the meaning of who is is there a rightful heir? Mm-hmm. Is that how Mandalore truly is orchestrated? But
it's a journey that could happen.
Yeah. There's just, I think, and it's exciting to have this much unknown that will be fleshed out in this series about Mandalorians. And I think it's going to be incredible, because now what this season has done is put so many more Mandalorians in the front and center. I'm excited for it to keep expanding. A friend of mine actually texted me. I forgot to mention it a week or two ago, but he asked if we thought that the show would end up becoming about multiple Mandalorians, and the Mandalorian title meant not just one but plural Mandalorian, as becoming the main characters, sort of, so to speak. And I thought that was a cool thought, and I don't think that there'll be another main character. I think Din is our main character, but it's certainly clear to me that the next season will have multiple protagonists and antagonists of Mandalorians. I think that's inevitable. I think
you're
we're
right.
Gonna get a lot more.
Yeah, we're definitely getting into more Mandalorians. I think that's definitely inevitable. Interesting. Again, how we're talking about Din, because I think as we talk it out a little bit, I really do think that it makes complete sense to start going down that road of establishing Mandalore, getting the Mandalorians back.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, how this whole series started, you just had a guy that was going out collecting bounties, and I feel like then at that point, I mean, he knew who he was, he knew what his path was in the galaxy, he respected the way, right? But as we've seen him these 2 seasons, he's really changed his personality and his character, right? About what he cares about, what he believes in. And I think he's discovering who he actually is. And that is a direct, I think, vault into this next couple seasons, that he is still trying to figure out who he is. And I think that's an interesting thing, is his backstory is still a little hazy maybe. And there could be some connection where his parents, again, just because maybe his parents said he wasn't Mandalorian, or his lineage wasn't from Mandalore. We don't know if his parents fled Mandalore, and he, like you said, he is a Vizsla, and maybe the father just left and wanted to raise his son differently. Whatever, there could be a million stories that they can come up with to explain it. But so I do think I love that. I love that part. I love that, seeing that, and I think it's going to be a big part of the show. So, of course, a couple things we got to still talk about. Grogu. Let's talk about Grogu leaving the show technically right now. Do you think, before we talk about who took him, do we think do you think he's off the show from now on at all?
I just, if money didn't drive these shows, I would say I would have every reason to believe he's gone for good. But it's just like, he's so popular, so how can he be gone for good? That's the only thing. Maybe if he's gone off of this show, could he pop up in another show? Perhaps, but yeah, I want to say yes. Like, I want to say, because it just feels right. It feels like that was a perfect ending, to the Grogu story. But he's so popular, so why would they keep him way off of the show? So it's, it's hard. It's hard to say whether or not. I would say, like, for story's sake, yes, I think he should stay off, for now. But yeah, come on. I would always want to see more of Grogu.
But I gotta say, okay, so that's a good point, and I definitely agree with you. But I gotta say, I think this was a little bit of a test in this season, because bringing these very, very popular characters, especially in the animated form, and you bring on Bo-Katan, you bring a Cobb Vanth that was just in publishing type. You've got Ahsoka making her live action, and you bring back Boba Fett. Yeah, you introduce a really kick-ass character in Fennec again, right? You really see what she can do. And you think about it, like episode 3, when we got Bo-Katan, Grogu wasn't really in it. He was with Frog Lady for a while, right? Yeah. Then you get to 4, where again Grogu's. Where was Grogu at during the time that they went to the Imperial place? I think he was. He was just at the school, right? So he wasn't really in that episode. Yeah. 6 was Ahsoka, but he was in it for a little bit when he met Ahsoka, which was very entertaining, obviously. But then you get to that whole episode with Mayfeld where Grogu's not in it at all. Yeah. So he wasn't in it as much this season, I feel like, as he was last season, because I think it was that slow burn of, because I think it would have really been I think it really hurt and really affected fans if you just yank him out of the show after he's been there. But I think subconsciously we haven't seen him that much this season.
That's true.
So I think
or do that much.
Correct.
Didn't even do when he was on the show.
That's right. And you know, being the kid he is, he really can't do much, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like he didn't. I'm trying to think. He didn't save Mando using the Force. Like last season, did like twice at least, right?
Yeah.
With the mud horn and the fire. So I don't think he did that at all this season.
Nope. Hey, I don't even know if he used the Force that much. Besides,
He used it. I mean, throwing the stormtroopers around,
oh
and
yeah,
then making the call and getting a macaroon. But
yeah, and that was it.
yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't think he really did.
Yeah. So
The ball, move the ball. But
I don't think that. I think that. Yeah, I think I might have mentioned this on the Mandalore podcast. Is I think next season is going to be the scale, is going to be the measuring stick. Like, how are our ratings? What are people talking about if Grogu's not on the show? Because I think that will determine whether or not he does come back or not. I think that's still up in the air. But right now, I don't think he needs to come back. I think that story is not the Mandalorian story anymore. Like we just talked about, there's a bigger story there with Mandalore, with Bo-Katan, with Darksaber that doesn't involve Grogu. I think now it's Luke's story as we get into that discussion. That's where his story goes. Wherever that goes, I don't know how we get that story, but we can talk about that. So let's talk about the big Luke Skywalker. Just take me back. What did you think when did you know it was Luke?
I'm trying to think back to the series of shots because
the X-wing was the first shot.
When all like how the realization came. I think when all the droids stopped, when they just were like whatever, looking at the camera, or whether they just kind of stopped moving,
they stopped hitting the door. Yeah,
but like it showed them all throughout the whole ship. They just all stopped. And I think they all, so it's like I don't know if I can fairly say I knew then, but certainly it's like, oh, this is going to be huge. I just knew something. This is going to be huge. Yeah. And then they got the sign of something coming in from hyperspace. Like I think they said one ship or something like that.
Yeah,
I forget how they said it. One X-wing. It's like, yeah, okay, come on. I was fairly certain at that point, one X-wing. Because it wasn't just that. It's like everything they were doing around it with the music, with everybody's reactions. They built it up so much right before that X-wing came in that it was very quickly preparing you for something huge. And then as soon as the X-wing came in, it's like game over.
The X-wing comes in. They stop hitting. Yeah. And then you see a hallway shot in the monitor of a hooded figure just walking down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just see a lightsaber going. And it wasn't until he walks into one of the shots with the green that you saw was a green saber.
Yeah.
Which
so you get like reactions of Grogu, who like it's like you knew like I just knew it's gonna be, this is someone big, and it's not gonna be. This is too big for Ahsoka, because it's clearly a Force user answering the call, so it's too big for Ahsoka. So it's like it's gotta be Luke.
It's gotta be Luke. Yeah, I mean that was. I was talking for the weeks like that. I mean I don't know who else could have been. I mean the only question I was always having was, God, is Lucasfilm really going to let them use Luke Skywalker? Yeah. We were told for years that the Skywalker saga was it, and those characters are done. But here we are, bringing Luke Skywalker in his prime, what we've always wanted to see. I think it's just the lightsaber fighting was incredible. I mean, he because he didn't move like the Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. I watched it like 5 or 6 times, and I feel like whoever did the choreography of it, I really think that I saw a little bit of Obi-Wan and Luke in it, like the way Ewan McGregor kind of handled his saber. Like I saw a little bit of that, which I guess kind of makes sense if maybe they were training under the same person right now. But his movements were so precise and so fluent compared to the way Mark Hamill, Luke looked in Return of the Jedi, because back then there was just more about it kind of was like a fencing style, and hard strikes and not really, but it was just so perfect looking. Mm-hmm. Using the Force, throwing things, crushing things. It's like everything you want to see a Jedi do. I mean, and he took out a whole platoon, which I think is somewhere between 20 and 30.
It was a lot more than I thought there would. Like when we saw them all flying back to the ship, I was like, that feels like way more than what was in that hallway or in that cargo. But maybe we just obviously didn't see everything. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he said a platoon. I think I looked it up. Or it's like, I want to say it's like 36 maybe or something like that. Or I don't know, something like that. But okay, so then of course the reveal. Now we talked about this on our last episode, I think, where we talked about if it's going to be Luke, how are they going to do Luke? Mm-hmm. Well, they obviously went I guess they kind of went the Rogue One method, where they had an actor there, and I'm assuming he had a lot of dots on his face. Yeah. And they put a CG face of Mark Hamill. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't Mark Hamill standing there and they de-aged him. Mm-hmm. It was actually a CG face like they did with Peter Cushing in Tarkin on Rogue One. So how did you feel? Because there's a lot of mixed people out there, I feel like.
I mean, look, gosh, I feel like this year alone, I feel like I've gotten much more chill lately. I'm fine with it at that, for this one moment. I didn't think it was like the best looking stuff. I didn't think it was as good as Tarkin. Although it's like even Leia at the end of Rogue One, I had a little issue with it, even though it looked good. I feel like the way Luke looked, it felt very much like a video game quality, but from a few years ago, Or, I mean, even for Fallen Order, it looked pretty good too. But I think it's always the mouth and the eyes that take me out of when they try to pass off a realistic CG. And it was the same with this case. I feel like the mouth and the eyes didn't always look the best, but it was cool, man. I thought it was awesome. At first, even when you saw just the mouth a little bit, I was convinced like, oh, they recasted it. It's going to be some actor in there, and then it was. I did not expect them to literally, put Luke Skywalker's face on somebody, but because I didn't think it would look the best, and it kind of was my expectation of that. But still, I'm fine with it. The biggest surprise for me was Mark Hamill's voice. I was blown away because I was really listening hard to it, because at first he said, "Don't be afraid" or something like that. What was his first line? I am. What was his line? I am. And I thought like, oh, they took that "I am a Jedi" line and chopped off the Jedi part. That's how they're going to do this. But then he kept talking.
Yeah.
I was like, well, wait a minute, this sounds perfect. Who is this? Yeah, I kept thinking like, this has got to be a great voice actor impersonator. But no, then you saw in the credits was Mark Hamill. Like, that is brilliant. That was great. And just what I feel like every character in that room was feeling like we're feeling. Everybody was in awe in that bridge. Gideon's reactions, everybody's reactions was just like, this is like a godlike person. I feel like it's just amazing. So, no, perfect. If they want to do more of Luke Skywalker, I don't think I would go the route of the CG face unless they just put more money into it to make it look, more seamless. But, I'm totally, this is a controversial thing to say, but I'm totally fine with recasting. I just, it's not really, I guess you'd call it recasting, but no one's played Luke in this era, so it's not like you're taking anything away from somebody. So
it's hard to do it now, though. That's the problem.
I'm fine. I'm fine. It's like when they recast Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2, it's just like, just move on with it. You just got to move forward. To tell a good story. Just I don't think it should be something that is done a lot. If you this is a very specific circumstance where Mark Hamill can't play this role. So who are you going to have if you want to tell more stories with Luke Skywalker? Although there's rumors about Luke Skywalker series, I don't. Again, like you said, Skywalker Saga is done.
Yeah,
Skywalker Saga is done. So you can have cameo appearances. You can have these one-off moments, but no, you can't do a Luke Skywalker show.
No. Yeah, I'm not bothered. Look, the fact that I know something is CG doesn't bother me. It doesn't.
Sure.
For some reason, it never has taken me out of a story. Or now, of course, if it's blatantly bad, like, dare I say it, not make anybody mad, but like, if you're watching Sharknado, you're expecting bad CG, right?
Yeah.
But something like this, but I think what I have concluded, and I think you have too, is that there definitely is a difference between, CGing a person's face on somebody else versus de-aging the person that actually plays them, right? Because, when you look at, I think it's Civil War. Was it Civil War where they de-aged Robert Downey Jr. in the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, that looked pretty incredible because it was him in, playing, and all they had to do is de-age his face. It was still his face, and you can see the different movements in the mouth because the mouth is actually his. Mm-hmm. When you're doing this method, it's a little different. Like you said, you can catch it in the eyes and in the mouth because you're putting a different face on somebody. So, so is there a way to, cast Mark Hamill and de-age his face? I know his body wouldn't necessarily look like the 20-year-old body anymore, but can you do both, somehow?
There was that Netflix movie, that Scorsese movie with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Joe Pesci. They de-aged him a whole lot, and all of them. I watched it. It was a good movie, but the de-aging thing didn't really work all the time because you have how young, I forget how his youngest age. He was supposed to be Robert De Niro, like 30s, maybe even 40s. But he may look younger, but like the way he moved, he just moves. Yeah. He moves like an old man. You can't bring the energy back into.
Yeah, that's true.
Your body.
That's true. But you run into issues either way. So in the end, would I be okay with a recast? I obviously will, but I like the fact that we saw Mark Hamill's face. I mean, it heard his voice. I mean, that was. Yeah. I can't imagine the reaction if it had been a recast right now, right? Because I think there would have been a lot of blowback on that. To be honest, I think a lot more than it is about the CG. Because one thing I always talked about was when he reveals his face. If it wasn't Mark Hamill's face, I mean, we know it's Luke because we can look at the saber in the way he's dressed. But people that aren't necessarily familiar with Luke, if it wasn't Mark Hamill's face, because that's all they've seen of him in ads and marketing, I don't think a lot of normal fans would have automatically identified that was Luke. Like my wife, I think if it wasn't Mark Hamill's face, I think she would have been like, "Well, who's that?" Because they didn't even say his name ever.
It's true.
So now here's one conversation that me and Martin had on Mandalore that I want to get your quick take on is, do you not think that Cara Dune would have heard of him or know who Luke Skywalker is? Being part of the rebellion?
I think there's a good chance that she would have heard of him. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
she had to have.
There's a good chance that she has heard of Luke Skywalker. Now, has she heard of who he is, or does she know that he's just the guy who blew up the Death Star? Does she know that he's a Jedi Master? Does she, does she know? Has she been told what he looks like? I think there's a good chance that she's heard of that name. Now, because I think back to Lost Stars, or even the first Battlefront book. Twilight Company. It's like these people have always heard of these legendary characters,
Yeah.
and they don't quite know who they are when they see them. I think that's the case with Darth Vader. People have only heard of him, but when they see him, they don't quite know who he is.
Yeah.
So I totally buy that she doesn't know who he is, but maybe she can connect the dots at some point. Maybe we get the next episode. She's like, "That was Luke Skywalker."
Yeah.
I should have said something to
That was
him.
Luke Skywalker?
Yeah,
I know him.
that's my princess's brother. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
anyway, I thought that was
Yeah.
regardless, unbelievable episode, unbelievable reveal that Filoni and Favreau were able to do. I mean, it's just again, it goes back to what we've been talking about over the weeks, is that the confidence that Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy are putting in these guys. It's no, there's no handcuffs. It seems like they're able to do whatever they really want to do, as long as it. I mean, they're deciding whether or not it fits in the story or not. So,
yeah.
It's now we're waiting for season 3, which doesn't look like it actually drops until 2022. But we did get an end credit sequence here that sets up what we are getting in 2021, which is the Book of Boba Fett. Surprised that we got that revealed?
Only because I thought it was almost official that we weren't getting it, because they held off on announcing it. So it's which is smart, I guess. They wanted to save the surprise for those guys, but my guard was down, I guess, because I thought it was kind of confirmed that we weren't getting it. So I was like, oh, okay, because I was like, oh, good. I probably would have liked it anyways. Story about a villain, but no, how they set it up, I'm excited. I love the title. I'm very interested to see how it turns out, because I did not expect Boba Fett to take this direction. But that was my whole question going through this season when we were introduced to him. It's like, I don't think he was like a stranded, little guy on Tatooine. I felt certain that he was still kind of in his prime and had an agenda, because he's Boba Fett. I still don't think he. I still wonder why he waited so long to get his armor back. That's my one question with him, because I feel like he could have taken Cobb Vanth, but no, waiting around for what to take? Why was he waiting around to take out the Hutts? But I think I'm excited to find out what his plan actually is. But I didn't think he would be settling for a side character, a getaway driver. I always figured he would try to do something else. He had some kind of agenda that would reveal itself. So I just didn't think it'd be this. I didn't think he wouldn't want to be a crime lord. So still think there's more to it, obviously, than that. So very excited about his story. Just cool title. I keep trying to think, like, does that try to tell us something about what it's going to be like? Is it going to be kind of like a dual? Like we talked a little bit about what it could be, where part of the show is about his past leading up to Mandalorian, and the other part is moving forward in time. Yeah. Flashbacks in present time. So that would kind of feel like a book, like a journal in a sense.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, very cool. I am excited.
Very cool. And not only is Filoni and Favreau executive producing this, but also Robert Rodriguez is actually executive producing this thing, probably going to direct, I'm assuming, some episodes, unless they find a different showrunner for this thing. But of course, not knowing whether or not this is an ongoing series or just a limited series, but it is tying with this timeline along with Ahsoka and the Rangers of the New Republic. So it's gonna be crazy. I think there's a lot more Boba Fett coming. So, but that is dropping December of 2021. So as of right now, that looks to be the next live action series we are getting, with the Mandalorian season 3 starting production after Boba Fett wraps. So we are getting season 3 after that. So A little more wait for that, unfortunately. Of course, Andor is shooting right now. That again, that's 2022, so that's going to be later. I mean, 2022, it seems like it's going to be the crazy year reveals. Of course, Star Wars Celebration is also that year. So Celebration is going to be ridiculous with all the content that's coming out on Disney Plus, the movie content with Patty Jenkins and of course Taika Waititi. I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
We'll have more. There'll be more announced up until then that we'll get excited about.
Yes,
more than likely.
Of course, next week, starts a whole new era in Star Wars with the High Republic.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some novels coming out. You got comics starting. That's really going to be a game changer. But we'll get more into that next week as we talk about those kind of things coming out in 2021. So I do want to wrap this episode with a look back at 2020. Just to name a few things that we got, of course, in 2020. Obviously, everybody's well aware of the situation around the world with COVID. It was a weird year for us as far as interacting with each other, but we're still able to be with each other virtually. And of course, content is king. This was kind of the prime time to put everything out. There was so much to watch and so much to enjoy with Star Wars. Obviously, we got season 2 of The Mandalorian this year. We got the final season of the Clone Wars, something I never thought we would ever get. We got a couple games in Star Wars Squadrons. The VR game, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. We got the Lego Holiday Special. Of course, the High Republic was supposed to be revealed this year at Celebration, but that got postponed. So that the rollout got postponed. That's coming in 2021 now. But the announcement of the High Republic, this whole new era, set a couple hundred years before Episode 1. We're going to get a bunch of stories there for that. And then, of course, Investors Day revealed the whole slate of future work. So those are kind of the big main things. We got a lot of books as well with the second book in Squadrons. We got a new Thrawn trilogy that kicked off. We got Queen's Peril that came out. Definitely other books. I know I'm forgetting a couple of them, but a lot of publications. So, Case, looking back, what kind of was your one or two things that you really remember most about this year in Star Wars?
Well, Clone Wars was pretty special. The whole season was I definitely enjoyed the entire season, but the Siege of Mandalore was for sure a Star Wars highlight. Of the history of Star Wars, that arc was certainly in the top echelon of stories. So that was pretty fantastic. And just everything that went into it was fantastic. So, certainly Clone Wars. I definitely loved publishing side of things. It was a blast to read. Queen's Peril it was great. And I haven't gotten into it yet, but there are the other books that from a certain point of view. Some of those, the Poe Dameron book and the Clone Wars book. There's a lot of other ones that are pretty fantastic. It's kind of hate to say like to book in the year, but like Clone Wars in the beginning of the year, and then this Mando season. Obviously the Luke. There's moments that are huge highlights, but just the fact of what is happening in the Mandalorian season and the series, and then what's happening in this era, this Mandoverse, whatever they're going to call it, this era, I think is pretty fantastic. And this season has, to me, it's started off a pretty important time of filling in this gap of Star Wars, and I'm glad it's with these characters. I'm glad it's with these creatives behind it. So I think I'm excited for Filoni's future and Favreau and all these other filmmakers they're bringing into it. And just to say, the two things that are the things that are in common with Clone Wars and Mandalorian, it's Filoni and the characters of Bo-Katan, Ahsoka. Like, it's just incredible. It's just mind blowing that we still have this creative force in Star Wars that matches George Lucas, with Filoni. So it's in great hands. I think in light of everything, the future of Star Wars is still very bright, and I think it's clearly in the hands of Filoni and Favreau.
Yeah.
So basically, the highlights are those guys and what they've been giving us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think, for me, I knew season 2 of Mandalorian was going to be crazy, and crazy in the sense that, if these rumors that we kept hearing were true, that, Ahsoka was coming and Boba Fett was possibly alive and Bo-Katan. There was obviously no discussions about a Luke Skywalker. But as we got closer to the finale, that became more and more real. But prior to Mandalorian, I got to say, and I agree with you, you brought it up. I wanted season 7 of Clone Wars. I want more Clone Wars. I'm a little disappointed that they actually had to end it, because I wanted to see all those other stories that they had, with going back to Kashyyyk and finishing out the Bane and Boba Fett story arc. It's all these different story arcs that they still didn't complete. But I got to say, I was blown away by the Siege of Mandalore. Like, that was cinematic in a way that in the Clone Wars, I love it and it's so good. But that was almost like it separated itself a little bit. And I think we even brought this up a while ago, where we had talked about we were hoping that they started the Clone Wars with a movie, that they should have ended the Clone Wars with a movie, and that is a movie. I wish they would just cut out the credits and just smash it together into one movie, because it is incredible, and I've watched it several times, and it's so well done. You really get a good understanding of Ahsoka and Rex in that series, and of course Maul. So that, when that ended, right then and there, I thought, wow, what a great gift that we got from Filoni in that sense. Of course, then the announcement came that we were getting these live action series. And then, of course, the Bad Batch was announced, that it would continue the NX animated series. But, besides the Siege of Mandalore, I think the only thing that really, to me, topped that was seeing Ahsoka live action. Yeah. I think Rosario was a great choice. I think, I think that she is going to still climb up higher and higher as one of the most popular characters in Star Wars. I know that she's my oldest daughter, who's just turned 11. She loved Ahsoka from the Clone Wars, and she watched them grow up. But now that she saw her in live action, it's over. It's her favorite character by far. And I think that a lot of young girls are going to, and fans of, that have been around her are seeing the whole character grow. I think it's amazing to see the 12 years ago when this young Padawan was introduced, to now see where she has become, and what she's doing with her life now. And of course, what are we going to see her do next? Because we don't know her fate necessarily, right? So I can't wait to see how that goes. And I think she's just going to keep getting more and more popular. So that was probably my biggest highlight, to be honest, is seeing Ahsoka. And of course, seeing Luke is, that kind of closed out the year that was, seeing that. But I don't know. It's been, as we look back, the biggest takeaway also to me, though, this year, it's the first year we didn't get a movie since episode 7 came out, right? So no Star Wars film this year. I don't think it was. I mean, was it missed? Do you feel like is there a hole in this year because we didn't get a movie?
I mean, no, not for me, just because so many other things have happened. I mean, not that I went to the movies a whole lot anyways, but, if the theaters were opened and people were still going to the movies, maybe something would be missing. But for me, no, it wasn't missed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm still a little bit on that side of I want a Star Wars movie every year.
Yeah.
But I get what they're trying to do with Disney Plus, and if it means I could sit here at home and just watch series after series, then I'm fine with that too.
For sure.
But I am intrigued by where the movies will go, and that's something we can talk about next week as we look ahead. But yeah, that was. I think it's been a good year despite everything that's happened in the world. I think Lucasfilm, like you said, has really latched on to the train that Filoni and Favreau are driving, and I think it's just in their best interest to keep them focused and keep them doing what they do best. Now, it's really going to be interesting to see how these other series are done without their influence, right? Because we're going to get an Andor series that apparently they're not really a part of, an Obi-Wan series that they're not a part of, the Acolyte that they're not a part of, the Visions animations that we're going to, there's several different stories that are coming that they're not involved in. How well are those going to be received versus what they're working on, and of course the films that they're not really involved in, right? So there's just a lot of Star Wars coming, and right now Filoni and Favreau seem to be the ones that are gaining the most backing by the fans. It's just going to be interesting to see what the future holds. So, anything else on anything else on 2020?
No, probably not. Probably shouldn't say much more.
Yeah. It was interesting. Again, interesting. It's funny when it's not until you sit here like we do, in a sense, and really look back to realize how much of Star Wars you actually got,
Right.
Because a lot of people focus mainly on just the television series, just Mandalorian. A lot of people just focus on some novels. Not everybody plays the games, but when you look back at all of it, we got a little bit of everything this year, and it was a good balance, I think, of stories throughout. And you mentioned all the comics that had come out, Star Wars and Vader, new volumes kicked off there, and Afra kicked off a new series, and Bounty Hunters has a series out there, and those are still ongoing right now. So lots of content out there, So, and that'll do it for 2020 for Inside the Force. We're hopefully going to keep planning to do what we do in 2021. We've got a lot of new content coming as far as new episodes of Council Sessions and Beyond the Saga. We got a new series kicking off here soon, Masters of the Order, which we will kick off here in 2021 as well. I got a couple comments actually just recently on our YouTube channel, enjoying some of our commentaries and asking, hey, when are we going to be doing some more commentaries? And you're right. We do got to do more commentaries. We haven't done Solo yet. Actually, we haven't done, we obviously haven't done The Rise of Skywalker. So, as soon as we get together again, we'll start doing those, and put those out there, because those are fun to do. And, you know, with all the knowledge that we're gaining with all these series, it does change perception a little bit of these movies and stuff like that. So, but we appreciate everybody. Go to youtube.com and subscribe there, as we still keep trying to grow that channel a little bit. And of course, we're all over the podcast feeds. Subscribe where you can. We're on all of them. You can go to InsideTheForce.com and get to all of them there. So thanks, everybody, for this year. And we look forward to hanging out with you guys and talking more about Star Wars in 2021. I actually saw a tweet, Casey, just today. I think it might have been Olivia Munn that did it. She put out something like, are we really going to say something like, or is it really going to come out this way that it's 2021, like 2021, like W-O-N? Yeah, like next year is 2021. Like, oh gosh, no, I don't want to say that. It's the number one, 2021. Yeah. So, looking forward to it. Thanks, Case, for a great year. I know you've got an interesting year coming up.
Yeah, so, I actually don't know I don't even know if we talked about it on this show yet.
Oh,
but yeah,
I think we have, didn't we?
Anyways, if we haven't, no, I'm got my own Force dyad coming in April. Yeah, my wife and I are expecting twins, fraternal twins, boy and girl.
Yes.
And
we're not making this up either.
Yeah, on paper, it is very likely that they could. On paper, it says it could be around May the 4th. That's the craziest thing too. But with twins, it'll be earlier, so it'll be in April.
Yeah.
But for goodness sakes, it's going to be a huge year. A busy year for me.
A busy year for Case. Yeah. Not sure how much he's going to be able to do these.
It's going to be tough. We'll see. It's going to be a longer paternity leave for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's exciting. I'm very excited.
Very excited.
My own Jedi Academy happening. This will be our number 2 and 3 child.
Yep.
So.
And obviously they're not going to be named Luke and Leia.
No, they're not.
Unfortunately,
I would not do that to those poor kids.
What do you mean? That would be like ideal.
That would be awesome. It would be like I would just like every time I said their name, I'd just be like, yes. But to myself,
you could have went Jaina and Jason. You know?
I thought of that so much. I tried to think of like what could I sneak in there. That would be a good Star Wars name, but names
Jaina and Jason Cooley. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. But, I don't have a say, so that's fine.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll be monitoring that with you, Case, as we go forward here, because you only got, 4 more months. So keep Casey and his wife in your prayers as they approach that expectation there. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great and happy new year. Be safe out there. Take care. For Casey Cooley.
Thanks for a good year, guys. And again, I have to reiterate to stay safe and stay healthy. Please, please, please.
Yeah. And I know we don't say it enough, but we really appreciate all of our listeners and everybody that chimes in and sends us, and everybody that's on the Facebook group. It's really great to have these Star Wars discussions and hear from everybody that they appreciate the content and our insight. So as long as you keep saying those things, we'll keep doing this. So thank you, everybody. Truly. Happy New Year. Have a great and safe holiday. We will see you next year. He's Casey.
Goodbye, everybody.
Take care. May the Force be with you.